Nobody tells you this part. Nobody tells you this part about getting older. All of us men reach a certain point where we start to feel our body change and see our body change in many cases. And I'm going to cover those things that we tend to feel, and they tend to kind of blindside us because we don't exactly expect them or think about them or register them consciously, so you can start to feel your best. So some of the things we experience as we age are things like, our clothes fitting differently. We might see the same size on the tag even. I mean, our sizes can increase as well, and that is very common, but you might even see the same size, but the fit is different on your body. You're like, why does this not fit good? Your belly, your stomach area appears. Seemingly nothing changed in your routine, but something changed in you. The 2-drink effect. 2 drinks when you're 25, that's nothing. That's a warm-up. That's a pre-drink. But now, 2 drinks, that has a much bigger impact on your body. And recovery taking longer. You hit a hard workout and you feel busted for days. Or you have a late night and you can't focus the entire next day, or you feel it for days. These are some things that we feel as men as we age, and there are ways around it. What you need to know is this is a real story here. This is not coming from a textbook. I started noticing these differences in myself, and it started with my recovery from my workouts, my training sessions. And like, okay, it started being a little bit slower. And then I noticed, wow, I need to make sure I do mobility or else I feel stiff for days. And then I noticed, this is probably one of the biggest realizations I had, was if I did not get a good night's rest, a good night's sleep, I wasn't focused the next day. I'm not the same energetic. I'm not as energetic. I'm not as productive. I have more food cravings, and my mood also drops. So my functioning the next day after a night, if I'm not getting good sleep, that's a problem. And then the biggest one that a lot of us men don't want to touch, and I didn't want to for years, to be honest, is how alcohol started crushing me mentally and physically. And when I was in my early 20s, I had a problem with alcohol. Like, more than just like getting drunk with the buddies. Like, I had a problem with alcohol, blacking out multiple nights a week. And I weaned my alcohol down to into my late 20s to a point where I was just having social drinks once or twice on the weekends, but even that was just too much for me. And now I'm at the point where I only have 1 drink about a month, okay? One drink about each month. I have 1 drink, and that's it. That's it. Because I realized that alcohol has almost no benefits for me, and it can slow us down. So, and as I said here, like, I didn't wake up one day and decide to study this. I've lived this. And I know that I'm younger than a lot of you guys who might be watching this. I've been paying attention. I work with men older than me, same age, a little bit younger than me, all of the time. But I've helped hundreds and hundreds of men change their lives and their bodies using what I've learned professionally and what I've learned through my own anecdotal experiences. So I'm not pretending to have it all figured out, but I'm figuring this out alongside you. And as I make newer discoveries, I'm going to change my delivery and my outlook as I discover new things. So the real problem with what's happening in your life is not with what's changed, okay? The real problem is that men keep trying to use the exact same strategy they used when they were 25, that worked when they were 25. They're trying to do the same diet tricks, use the same eating habits, do the same gym bro workouts, have the same sleep schedule, going to bed at 1 a.m. or 12 midnight, the same, expecting to have the same stress tolerance, having the same expectations for their recovery after workouts or after life events or things that are going on with stress in your life or after getting a cold. No, the body you're running in right now has changed. And virtually the operating system needs an update. This, your mind, it needs an update because you need to approach things much more intelligently now and much more complete and whole. Body, energy, resilience, and identity. These are the 4 pillars of the modern man, okay? These things are all interconnected. They're all equally as important. This is not a priority ladder, okay? Body, we're talking about body composition, your fat muscle ratio, the health of your heart, the health of your blood, the health of your internal systems, strength and recovery. Resilience, we're talking about stress tolerance, immunity, and I say your bounce back ability. Yeah, it's not a formal term, but you know what I'm saying. Your energy, your daily capacity for your work, for your business, for your family, for fun. And last but definitely not least, your identity, your sense of self, your purpose, your non-negotiables in life. So what's actually changing physically? There's multiple things that are changing in our body physically. As I mentioned, our recovery, it's taking 2 to 3 times longer to actually recover than it used to. 2 is muscle loss. It's something called sarcopenia, which starts creeping in our 30s, and definitely as we're in our 40s, 50s, and beyond, it starts increasing and increasing and increasing. And unless we're paying attention to that, we are actively losing muscle. So if you're not moving forward to gain muscle or to protect muscle, you're losing it. Number 3 is your belly fat. And this is a lot of something that men don't realize, is that we increase visceral fat as we age, whether or not we're gaining weight on the scale or we feel like we're gaining a lot of fat. And then number 4, sleep consequences. 1 bad night is costing you 2 productive focused days at work or 2 energetic good mood days with your family or kids. And so you don't want to think about it like, ah, man, like I'm screwed now. No, it's like we need to respond in a different way. We need to address the situation in a different way. And no gym bro sessions and fad diet cutting carb philosophy is going to help you at this point. Number 2 is energy. And so this is one thing that men complain to me literally constantly about, constantly. The afternoon crashes, something I've experienced, the less margin for bad habits, the poor sleep, the ultra processed foods, too much alcohol. They hit you upside of the head like a freaking uppercut. Boom. Feeling drained by default. So I don't experience this, but I have when I burned out a couple times in the past. But a lot of men complain of feeling drained by default. You wake up tired, you go to bed tired, and then you just sort of are just trying to make it through your days. My man, that is not a way that you have to feel, and it definitely is not due to age. Resilience. A bad week hits different now. Now, you might have experienced this. You have a stressful week. Some things happening with the kids, things happening with your business. You're just under a lot of stress, and boom, all of a sudden, you're sick and you're out for a week or 2. This is something that we have to understand. Like, we have to be able to build the resilience of our body up. That comes from not only our immune system, but it also comes from our own body stress tolerance. Okay? Because stress is hitting us from all different angles. We have the responsibilities, financially and otherwise. We're thinking about our parents that are aging. I'm thinking like, oh my God, my dad and mom are now in their 70s and all this, and I need to, I'm worrying about them. Then we have our kids, and we have, our partners or our wives. We have our business pressure. We have our career pressure. And this stuff compounds. And so when we're 25, we can run for months on stress and adrenaline and just be like, woo, beating our chest like freaking King Kong. But now we have a week like that and we're beat down. We're not as productive the next week. We get sick, we get tired, our workouts seem to be not as good. Recovery is not automatic anymore. So this is key. I want to stress this. Resilience is not about pushing harder. Most men try to push harder. Resilience is about building and managing your capacity. And I often refer to this as increasing the size of your battery. And last but definitely not least is your identity. And if anything, this is the most important. Because a lot of men I speak with say, you know what? I don't feel like myself. I just don't feel as good as I used to. I don't feel like myself. I don't recognize the guy I'm seeing in the mirror. And this is the one that a lot of guys don't like to talk about because they feel embarrassed about it. Us men are supposed to be like superheroes, right? We're supposed to support our kids, our family, our wives, our jobs, our business, everything up on our shoulders because we're men, right? We're supposed to be able to tolerate this shit. But the problem is that mentality does not work anymore. And part of my principles in the modern man are that, yeah, we want to be those providers or those people that are showing up for our loved ones, are that person that owns business and is always that leader that our team looks up to. But we can't do that if we neglect our personal health, okay? So a lot of men are upset because they've drifted too far from the version of themselves that they want to be. They ideally want to be, or in some cases even once were, okay? So it's things about like the energy you used to have, gone, you know, or at least put on the back burner and now it's coming back to bite you. The body you had, you're thinking about, oh man, I used to be a lot leaner. I never weighed this much in my life. Things changed in ways that you didn't expect. And that version of you that was sharper, or maybe that version of you that you aspire to become that's sharper and more capable. And so we come to a fork in a road. It doesn't matter if you're 38, 48, or 58. There is a fork in the road and we have a decision. Path one is listen to the bullshit and accept decline. Oh, it's just my age. This is normal with age. It's inevitable. Maybe your brother or your uncle or your dad, someone in your life, a teacher told you it's inevitable. This shit happens. It's just aging. No, it's not. Okay? It's not changing the way we address and the way we deal with the reality to keep our standards as high as they were before. The system has to change. As I said, the operating system, the way you think about it, has to change. So it's not just how it is. Path two is adapting. And I just made it abundantly clear what I believe and what I believe that the path that you should choose is. And if you're here, chances are this is the path you want to choose, which is adapt. You don't need to become a fitness bro. You don't need to spend all of your free time in the gym or in the kitchen. But you do need to stop pretending like you're 25. Stop ignoring the reality. Stop procrastinating and start working in a way that serves your body and your life right now so you can show up as the best version of yourself. So if you're a man over 35 and a lot of this feels familiar to you, you want to go hit that subscribe right now. Hit that subscribe to stay up to date with what I'm going to be discussing here, because this is what the modern man is all about. It's taking responsibility for the reality that is going on. No woe is me bullshit. No victim bullshit. This is okay. This is the way things are changing as I age, and this is how we are going to deal with it to make sure we continue to feel our best, look our best, and never feel held back in our life with what we want to do because we're not in the shape or the health that we need to be to do it. Okay, guys, we'll see you next week.